Okay, good morning, everybody, and welcome to this Infowise Ultimate Forms webinar. Today, we are going to be talking about dynamic onboarding systems. Before we get started, just, oops, little information about myself. I am Phil Gold. I am a longtime communications and training professional. Most recently, I spent 15 years at Nike as the global training manager for Nike technology. And in that role, I was responsible for using SharePoint sites, creating SharePoint sites, training people on how to use SharePoint sites. I was the global SharePoint training department for a little while. And as a user and as a site owner, I started using Infowise Ultimate Forms about 6 years ago. And I have to tell you, I am not a developer. I am the best you can call me is a super user. But I have found over the years that Infowise Ultimate Forms just expands the capabilities of SharePoint so greatly. It adds in a bunch of features that we all think SharePoint should have had, but never quite made it. And we'll be talking about some of these today. The thing that I want to emphasize, though, is the fact that Infowise Ultimate Forms is very easy to use. You do not need any advanced coding skills to use it. The interfaces are plain, straightforward, and the amount of things that you can accomplish are just amazing sometimes. We will see that as we walk along. In addition to the work that I'm doing right now with Infowise, I'm also a course author on LinkedIn. I've got about a dozen courses online right now. And actually, that's the way that I got connected with Infowise during this period of time. I created a course on LinkedIn Learning about using Infowise in SharePoint, and after that came out, the good folks at Infowise said, "Hey, would you be interested?" And I said, "Why, of course." So that's kind of why we're here today. Now, the ground rules for today's session. If you have questions, go ahead and use chat to do that. There are some other Infowise team members standing by. They're monitoring the chat. They're monitoring your questions. They will be answering those as we move along. We'll have a Q&A if there's time allowing. And there will be a recording of this session posted to YouTube when we're done. That'll be up later today. One more thing. We are going to have a giveaway. We got a contest today. Now, I'm sorry, but this will only be open to people in the continental, well, in the U.S., because we can't ship things outside of the U.S., but we will be giving away an Infowise polo shirt. So if you stick around to the end, we'll explain the rules for that, and we'll talk about all that later. Now, what is our goal today? So what we want to do is we want to create a relatively easy to use onboarding system. And there's a couple of goals here. We want to provide an improved experience for the users, for the people who need to set up the onboarding programs, and for the people who are using them, for the new employees. We want to make this a pleasant experience. We want to make it easy for the new employee to track their tasks. As we all know, onboarding is one of the most critical moments in a new employee's life at a company. And if the onboarding is not good, that really doesn't set things up for a very successful life cycle. So, just the amount of time and effort that you spend on this, you can do this very simply. You can get really complicated. There's all different levels, but none of the effort that you spend will be wasted, because anything you do is going to be very, very valuable for your new employees. So let's go ahead and take a look. Let me get out of PowerPoint here. Oops. Get out of PowerPoint, and let's go and take a look at Infowise here. So this is the Infowise homepage, as it were, interface. And I just want to talk about this really fast before I move on to the demonstration itself. As you can see, we've got a whole bunch of different areas inside of Infowise. There's a lot of features that it offers for you. Business logic, tab permissions, import, export, configuring app parts. And over on the right side of the page, there's updates, there's tutorials. Something that's pretty nice is if you click into one of the features, you will see that click into one of the features. My system is a little bit slow this morning. I apologize. Okay, you'll notice that the tutorials on the side have all changed to be action related. So this switches to be context pertinent, which I think is a very, very nice feature. Once again, the interface, very simple to use, very easy. I'm going to close out of this, and let's go and take a look at what we've got for our onboarding site. Now, this is a very simple site, which I honestly did not spend a whole ton of amount of time creating. I wanted to give you an example of some of the things that you could do. This is not as in-depth as it could be, but let's talk about what we have here. We've got our onboarding page. Got a nice little picture there. And over here, we have common links, common documents. Now, these will be things that will be shared by all employees. All new employees will need to see the benefits site. They'll need to see the code of ethics. They'll need to be able to get to the help desk. And these are just some dummy documents that I stuck in here. But, this is just a simple view web part of a simple document library, a simple link list that I've stuck onto the page. And of course, these can be used over and over and over again, so you will see those later. Now here we have the new employee onboarding. And this, you can see, we've got employee number and a phony name, goal start, goal end, onboarding tasks, onboarding documents. Click for details. Let's just click that. Well, actually, let's click this one because I think there's something in here. Yeah, see, we click for the onboarding tasks, and you'll see there are some tasks that have been listed in there with some priorities in there. We can close that. I'll talk to you about how we achieve that in just a moment. We've got the same thing for documents. Well, there's no documents for that one. This one has a document. This is a very nifty feature that I'll be explaining to you in just a moment. Now, if we want to add a new employee, note down here, we've got an employee ID, we've got a name, goal start, goal end. I'm going to click to add a new item. And rather than the standard SharePoint entry form for a list, we've got a very nice tabbed interface here. This is one of the things that Infowise does so very, very well. And actually, let's go and take a quick look at how this works. I'm going to duplicate this tab and back up just a moment. If you've ever tried to do entry forms using JavaScript, you know that it can be a little bit fussy. So what's a better way of working with entry forms to make them easier to see, easier to use? Well, I'm in my new employee list, and I go into the list settings, and here's the link for Infowise Ultimate Forms, the design puzzle link. And here under Configure Layouts and Permissions, you'll see we have tab and tab permissions. And these are the tabs that I have set up for that new form. This was the form, Employee, Tasks, Documents. And you see I've set these 3 tabs up myself. And then all you'd have to do is associate the fields in the list that you want with the given tab. So on the Employee tab, I've got the name and the manager. On the Task tab, I have the goal started and the onboarding tasks. And on the Documents, I have the onboarding documents. Very, very easy to set up. You can also do things like add fragments. These could be messages or instructions. You can pretty much add anything you want. I decided not to use this, but I've got a message welcoming the employee to the team, and this employee name is a dynamic field which is added from the list itself. If I had added this to the form, the employee's name would appear here automatically. So this is something that you can use to great effect. So there's all these fields that are in the form. I can add any one of these into the header or into the message itself. There, content type. Now, as I said, I'm not going to use that this time, but this is something that you have available to you, and it's very, very nice, very handy. Now let's go back to the form itself for a moment. And I'm going to go ahead and I'll make a new employee. Training user, I don't think I've used 14 yet. And I'm going to make myself the manager. Now this is these are both people fields from SharePoint. So this is all tied into Active Directory. Now tasks, I'll go to the next tab and we'll start the goal today. There are no tasks. Let's click this. Now, before I click it, I want to explain what we're doing here. We've got a record for the new employee, but we want to add sub-records below that. We want to add additional associated items to this record. Now, this is not something that you can do out of the box in SharePoint, but with Infowise Ultimate Forms, you can associate lists with each other. So when I click New Items here, this will open up another form, which, by the way, I've set up with tabs already, and we can put in a task name, kickoff. We can put in a description, and we can set the priority. I actually believe setting the priority is important. And you notice that we've got a nice color behind there. I'll talk about that a little later. I actually could have done that a little better, but we'll say this is low priority, so that's blue. The reason why we have priority in there, I believe that it is important to let your new employee know what's the most important thing for them to do first. So if you can prioritize these tasks for them, they'll be able to go and do the most appropriate one first. Now I've got an area for task progress that the employee can fill this in later. We don't have any progress yet, so we'll just say save. And now this item has been added as a sub item to the employee record. The same thing for documents. I'm going to add a new item, and this will allow me to go and pick a document. Pick a document, any document. Let's take that one. And this will add this to a document library which is associated with this record or with this other list. So now we've got a document. We'll go ahead and click Save here. And we've got our new user there. Click for details. There's the task. Click for details. There's the document. Let's go in and take a quick look at how we set up those associated lists. I'm not going to excuse me, I'm not going to go into too great a depth here, but it is right in here. The thing you have to do first is you have to create your secondary list. So for there to be a task list associated with the employee list, I had to create the task list before I could associate them. But then once I've done that, I go into Infowise Ultimate Forms for the new employee onboarding list, and I created an onboarding tasks field. It's a new field that's set up, so information will populate directly from that other list. Here's the associated list. It's the new employee documents. Actually, no, that was that was the wrong one. But that was this one. There we go. It's thinking. But really, it's very simple to do because your choices are made for you. I mean, here's the available associated lists. What view do you want? You want the document view. You can change the different views. You can limit the number of items that are printed on the page. You can allow new values to be added, which we are doing because every new document or every new task is a new value into the subsidiary list. So, once again, very, very simple to set this up. It's amazing how much power you can get. I've seen this used in a bunch of different things. One of our classic examples that we use a lot at Infowise is creating line items for a purchase order. You can have the purchase order be the main list, and then the line items are an associated list. Once again, not something you can do out of the box in SharePoint, but using Infowise Ultimate Forms, it's very easy to do. Let's go back here for a moment. I want to point out a couple of other things that happened here. When we are adding these employees, you'll see that we have employee numbers that are added in as an ID. And you'll notice that those are just counting up regular. Infowise Ultimate Forms allows you to create custom IDs for your lists. And once again, it's a very simple thing to do. We'll just go in and take a quick look at this. Employee ID. Every time we create a new item, it will create. And we've got a very simple formula in here that just adds 1 to the last record every time. You can do all kinds of different functions. You can pick information from different categories. You can set conditions so that this will only happen at certain times for certain records. Very flexible. If you have ever needed to have a way to easily create custom ID numbers in a set pattern, this is it. This is amazing the way it works. The other thing that I have done, I actually want to, oops, sorry, I'm clicking at random here. Let's go back into here for a moment. And actually, you know what? What I need to do is I need to go to the site contents for a moment because I want to show you the new onboarding tasks. Now these are the tasks themselves, and a couple of things I want to talk about here. First, you'll notice that the priority, the high, normal, and low priorities are color-coded to make them a little bit easier to see. I actually could have used brighter colors, I think. How did I do that? Well, I did that with Infowise Ultimate Forms because you have the ability to associate colors with different items, with different column items. scroll down here very fast. Color choice. And priority. I'm going to make that high one a little bit brighter. I'll update that. And we'll go back to the site. And we'll go back to the site contents. And we'll go back into the tasks. And you see, yeah, that's a little bit more noticeable now. But you see how easy that was to do? The associating colors with columns, you can colorize the font, you can colorize the background, which you saw with the input form, where the background of the drop down was green. Not the most visible, but well, not the most practical, but very visible, and we were able to show that it can be done quite easily. Once again, just a very flexible tool. You can highlight the entire row. You can change the color of the text. You can change the color of the field. Very, very flexible and very easy to use. Let me go back here again for a moment. Oops. Actually, let me go back to the home page. Now, another thing that you see that I've got here, I've got a progress bar that I've added. This is another really nice tool that Infowise has available to us. We can add indicators, very nice visual indicators that enable us to track progress, to track completion, to do a countdown, all features which are available in Infowise. Let me just go back into the list for a second and show you where that lies. And here we have indicators. We have 3 different choices available to us. We have KPI, we have a progress bar, or a countdown. Now, I've chosen to use a progress bar for this particular one. But the column is today. We have the start date, we have the end date, and how close are we getting to that date. So that's really all that I'm showing here, but it is a very nice way to indicate the progress that is being done. And you can use this in various places as well. So let me see. All right. We've gone ahead and we've added a new user. Now, what happens when that happens? Well, the first thing that happens is an email goes out to the new user, and this is done using an Infowise alert. I've got a sample of one of these emails. Oops. Well, sorry. Get back there. Welcome, training user 14. This is the one that just happened. Training user 14, we are happy to have you to the team. I copied myself on this, which is why I'm getting it. I'm not training user number 14. But we're able to send an email immediately to the new user, shows up in their box, provides them a link to their personal onboarding page, which we will go take a look at in just a moment. Actually, let's go take a look at my personal onboarding page. Now let's look at the alert itself first. This is probably the thing that sold me the quickest, the soonest to Infowise in general. I really like the idea of being able to notify people when things happen. But if you have ever used the standard alert inside SharePoint, you know how extremely limited it is. You really don't have much flexibility at all. The Infowise alert system is absolutely fantastic. I cannot emphasize how much I love this. I use this all the time for all kinds of different purposes. Come on, page. There we are. When you're using a regular SharePoint alert, you know that you can say who it's going to, and you can say if the alert goes out when an item is added, changed, or deleted. And that's about it. With Infowise, we're still loading here, but with Infowise, we can give our alert a title. We can pick which list or library it's working from. We can specify who we want this to go to. And here's something immediately light years different from SharePoint. Here we go. I can edit this one now. Show you exactly what we're looking at. For this, for the recipients, it's going to the employee name. This is a dynamic field. We're just picking it from the list right there. We also have a CC field, and we're sending it to the manager. Once again, a dynamic field, picking from the list, pulling the information directly from the list, making the email very, very specific and targeted. I'm copying myself, which I told you. It's coming from my account. This can be changed, so it can come from a shared email box. That is something that a site administrator needs to do, but it's not that hard. We can specify who we want people to reply to, and we can even exclude people from the mailing. If you wanted to send this to an email list, but you didn't want it to go to the manager because the manager gets too much email, you can just exclude them by name. What to send, this is actually under what condition to send. So for this, we're sending it whenever a new item is added. We could also do modified or deleted or according to a date or by any kind of condition we want. We can set up very, very specific conditions where email notifications will go out. When to send? I've decided to send this immediately, but we could schedule it to go out daily or weekly or at a certain time. We can repeat it if we needed to. We don't need to. This is the best part, mail templates. And this is actually something that when you're setting this up, you probably want to set these up first, but you can create very personalized, very targeted messages for all your different conditions. And we'll go in. You can see that we've got quite a few different templates that we've created for various things. But here's welcome new employee. This is a more full one that I was, no, this is the one that we used. Here's the employee name, filling out dynamically. We can put in, I put in a URL here. I could put in a URL pulling directly from Infowise, or excuse me, directly from SharePoint, from the picker list here. You can perform calculations in here if you want. You can add information from the list. You can add the columns. You can add attachments. All kinds of different possibilities here. And you saw the email. It goes directly out to the employee. Bam, works every time. Go ahead and close that. I'll go back in here. Okay, so we've got the employee has got their email. They've been welcomed to the company, and they've been directed to their onboarding page. This is my onboarding page. Now, once again, what we've got here, here's the common links and the common documents. I went ahead and put those in. This is the tasks that have been assigned to me, Phil Gold. Because of the way that I set this up, let me open this back up for a second. You'll see that here I am. I'm a new user right there. So what we're looking at here is my information. What I've done, I actually took the easy way out on this, and I just set this up so that the view that is showing here is filtered by employee name equals bracket me close bracket, which is the standard my page thing. The more deluxe way of doing this would be to create an action that would create a new page off of a predefined template. I didn't think it was necessary at this time, but you might want to do that because you can add a lot more customization to the page if you choose to go that way. You can have the page name, welcome Phil could be right at the top of the page. I thought for what we're doing today, this would be adequate because here's my stuff. Here are my details. That's my tasks that I need to do. That's my documents. Well, there aren't any documents, but I can come right here and see my information. And if I want to edit the item, I can go right in there. I can edit this. I can stop editing. I can also go directly to this list here and go in here and edit these items. And once again, that's that nice input form. I can go in here, I can click. Now these, if I click into this, this will actually take me directly to the onboarding tasks list or the onboarding task form. So right in here, I can go in and update my progress if I want to. So it's all very, very nicely linked back and forth from all kinds of different ways. As I say, there's a lot of different ways to do this, and it depends on how much time and effort you think you need to go to. I would say off the cuff that any time and effort you spend on onboarding is never, never wasted. So now with that, I think I'm pretty much done showing you what I wanted to show you in Infowise, but I do have a couple of other things that I want to talk about. So let's talk about those. Let's talk about next steps. Really, what we want you folks to do today is download the trial. If you haven't already done this, jumping back and forth, but go to Infowise Ultimate Forms. Go to InfowiseSolutions.com. There we go. And what you want to do is you want to download the free trial. Very, very simple, especially if you're using Office 365, which I am. But I love Office 365. I will never go back to on-premise if I ever have my way about it. But here you go. You download the app. Installation instructions are attached. It's pretty easy to do. As I said, I'm not a tech guy. I'm a super user, and I was able to do it without any problems. There is limited support included with the license. You get 2 hours. Well, excuse me, there's unlimited support included with the license. If you ever have any questions or problems, you send an email to the support team, and they will take care of you. They will get back to you with an answer, with a fix. Also, if you purchase a license for Infowise, you will get a 2-hour Kickstart training. There is also a lot more training available. And once again, I'm going to jump back to the Infowise page. Pardon me. Close out of this. But in resources, you can see training. We have the Kickstart training that I just mentioned. We have foundations training, which is a full day virtual training session. We have advanced training, once again, a full day virtual session, and we will be happy to talk to you about these. We also have other services available to you if you need them to help you get started. Okay, back over here. Now, if you want a demo of the product, if you're thinking about purchasing and not quite sure and want to see a little more, once again, I think the best way to answer your questions is actually download the trial and play with it. And I think once you do, you'll start seeing just how useful it is and how easy it is to use. And read the tutorials that are attached, because they will tell you more or less how to do most things. But if you want to schedule a demo, you can request that from the website. You can send me an email. You can send the sales team an email. There will be another webinar next month, I believe, and that should be announced at some point. So there's a lot of different options. Also, if you're interested in finding out more, Vladi Gluber and Will Cooper, the training manager and the man in charge of Infowise, are both going to be in Chicago for the SharePoint Fest in early December. So if you're going to be there, you can stop by, talk to them. They will be more than happy to meet you and answer any questions that you may have. It's a great opportunity to get a little bit more personal information, get a little bit more hands-on touch of the product, and you can save up your questions and ask them, and they will be happy to talk to you. So now it's contest time. What we're going to do, and once again, this is only for people who are in the United States. I am sorry, but we do have problems shipping outside of the United States. But what I'd like you to do is please enter into chat a number between 1 and 100, and the first person who hits the number is going to be the winner. And then I will have to ask the winner to hang on so I can get their sizes. These are coming in fast. I wish this window was a little bigger. Haven't seen it yet. I'm looking. Okay, not yet, not yet. Not yet. If nobody gets it in a minute or so, then we'll give it to the closest person. I have the number written down, so I'm not just making it up as I go along. Okay. No, still nobody's hit it. Up. Okay, hang on. Who is this? Sonny Hansen. Sonny Hansen is the winner. If it's white, pick another person. I don't remember if the shirt is white or not.
Bill, they are white.
Okay, Sonny, I'm sorry. The shirt is white. 76. We're going to give it to Katina because she was awfully close. She was only one number off. Katina, if you could do me a favor and send me an email with your size and your address. Here is my email address right there. Send me that information, and we will make sure that we get a shirt out to you. Okay, that pretty much concludes my presentation for the day. I want to thank you all for being here, and I'm going to leave the chat open for a few minutes so that if you have any questions, people will be able to answer that. but I am going to I'm going to shut down the presentation. Well, I'm going to turn off the audio and stop recording this. So once again, thank you very much. Download that free trial, and we'll see you all on Infowise.